Hello.
Hey, Miss Elizabeth, it's Journey from No Suicide Before Recess. How are you?
Hi. Fine. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm so grateful for you to come and sit down and have a chat with us for a little while because the movement is so important, I think, for all of us. So thank you so much for all
Yes.
your work.
Oh, no problem. My pleasure.
Thank you. You know, what
hmm
I forgot to ask about, and I think is so important for us to help with, is the MJG movement. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, it is. The MJG movement is in honor of my daughter, who took her life July 20th, 2015, as a result of a brutal rape. Yes, I did get her counseling because everybody always asks, did I get her counseling? Did I get her help? I did do that, but, there is no special pill that they can give you or, there's only so much a doctor, a therapist, counselor they can do.
Hmm.
And she did have a great doctor. But the trial was just, man, outrageous. And, when you have to face your accuser, and people fail to realize she was 14 when she was beaten and raped. She wasn't a grown woman. And,
Hmm.
to face this grown man that's looking at her, winking at her and laughing and smiling. And, he's saying, look at how pretty she is, look at how beautiful she is. And, we, did end up taking a plea deal just to keep from having to go back. And,
Hmm.
he told her if she wasn't so beautiful, he wouldn't have been attracted to her. So she has nobody to blame but herself for him beating and
Wow.
raping her.
Right.
So that's what caused her, to ultimately take her life.
She has this dimple in her cheek when she smiles. There's a light that shines iridescent through her eyes. A light that has guided me through so many nights in broad daylight. She calls me Mama. But it is she who raised me, held me together, let me fall to pieces safely. She has this dimple in her cheek when she smiles. Her laugh is an upswing, a parachute opening. 1,000 fireflies blazing through a daydream, a rose petal landing safely onto play stream. I'd slay 1,000,000 dragons, cross an endless desert on a single sip from the oasis that is the dimple in her cheek when she smiles.
I have my ups and downs, just like anybody else.
Maybe more than anybody else.
I can be hard to figure out.
And I like my privacy.
I don't want you looking over my shoulder all the time.
But you know your kid better than anybody else. And if you think he's acting different than usual...
Acting really down, crying all the time for no good reason.
Or getting really mad, not able to sleep, or sleeping too much.
Shutting her friends out or giving her stuff away.
Acting reckless, drinking, using drugs, staying out late.
Suddenly not doing stuff he used to love.
Or doing stuff that's just not like him.
It might be nothing to worry about. It might just be high school.
Or it might be something more. He might be depressed.
Not just feeling down, really depressed.
It might be that your kid is thinking about killing himself.
It happens. More than you think. More than it should.
And people say, I had no idea.
I thought it was just a phase he was going through.
I never thought she'd do it.
I wish he'd come to me.
I wish he'd said something.
I wish I'd said something.
When it's too late. So if you think your kid's acting different, if she seems like a different person, say something.
Say, what's wrong? How can I help?
And ask straight out. Are you thinking about killing yourself?
It doesn't hurt to ask. In fact, it helps.
When people are thinking about killing themselves, they want somebody to ask.
They want somebody to care.
Maybe you're afraid you'll make it worse if you ask. Like, you'll put the idea in their head.
Believe me, it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't hurt to ask. In fact, the best way to keep a teenager from killing herself is to ask, are you thinking about killing yourself?
And what if they say yes?
Or maybe.
Or sometimes,
Well, here's what you don't say.
That's crazy.
Don't be such a drama queen.
you're making too much of this.
That boy's not worth killing yourself over. That's not going to solve anything.
You're just trying to get attention.
You're not going to kill yourself.
What you do say is,
I'm sorry you're feeling so bad.
How can I help? We'll get through this together.
Let's keep you safe.
A lot of people think about killing themselves, adults and kids.
most of them never try it, but some of them do. So if your kid says,
I'd be better off dead.
I can't live with
I'm
this.
gonna kill myself,
Take her seriously. Find someone she can talk to about it. Someone who knows how to help.
Sometimes kids want to kill themselves because something happened. A breakup, a failure.
But sometimes it goes deeper, and it's not going to go away by itself. Get some help. Talk to your doctor.
Or a counselor at school.
Or your minister.
but don't just let it drop.
And make sure that your kid always has someone to turn to. Someone he trusts. Make a list together right then. 3, 4, 5 names.
Put a suicide hotline number on there too.
Have him keep that list in his wallet, so he always knows where to turn.
Make sure your home is safe.
If you have pills she could use to hurt herself, lock them up.
If you have a gun, don't just lock it up. Get it out of the house. The bullets, too.
And one more thing. If you think your kid might be about to hurt himself, don't leave him alone.
Take him to the emergency room.
Call 911 if you have to.
We all have our ups and downs, but sometimes it's more than that.
If you think something's wrong, the only way to find out is to ask.
Ask straight out. Are you thinking about killing yourself?
Don't wait until you're sure. Trust your gut.
Because it never hurts to ask.
And it can make a big difference.
All the difference.
in your kid's life.
I know we touched on how Marcie did have therapy and help that you got for her. You know, one of the things that's actually one of the first things I wanted to talk about as well, because when I was a couple of years ago, the reason I started No Suicide Before Recess is because I myself ended up in the hospital due to suicide ideation. But I was not prepared. I kind of went through the system because I did not have a blueprint in front of me on how to go. And so how was it that you were able to secure Marcie such good therapy? What was the process that you went through?
After the rape, the police department referred me to La Rabida. La Rabida put me on their waiting list, and then they referred me to the YWCA. So we started out with the YWCA. Marcie didn't like the YWCA because, first of all, they had more adult women and families. They really didn't have anybody her age group. So she wasn't too comfortable on there. And then they're the ones who said, referred us to the Laney Foundation.
Okay.
And that's how we found out about the Laney Foundation. And even with Laura Beta, we were on the waiting list for over a year.
Oh,
Because
wow.
when they did finally call me back, they called me back after a week after Marcie's funeral. And
Oh,
she
my
called me
God.
back, at first I did, first I didn't answer them. When they kept calling me like, well, hey, she's the first one on the list. We have an opening for her now. And when I told her, I said, well, she's gone now. It's too late. And, it wasn't nothing she could say other than I'm sorry. And, I said, this is unexcusable. You guys supposed to be for young girls and it's a year waiting list. And, she was like, it's the government, mental illness is just not, program for, rape victims, mental illness, stuff like that. It's just, it's at the bottom of the barrel. It's not considered as important. So
Wow.
that's how I was able to
heartbreaking.
find her doctor. Yeah.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking. And that's stuff that
Yes, ma'am.
the issues that your movement can definitely kind of bring to the forefront and help with by sure. A large part of No Suicide Before Recess is understanding there's a gap between we who suffer from mental illness and those who love us. There's I think if we could bridge the gap, to where, say, you were taking care of Marcie, and I'm trying to glean, I guess, what is it like from your end? I know from my end how it is, but I also know that it's a very difficult and traumatizing thing for our loved ones as well to go through. So
Right.
what would you say for people like me who suffer from mental illness? What kind of perspective would you give us from your point of view about what you guys are experiencing?
Um, well, as a parent, I will say it was, the sexual assault, I think, was really hard. Um, and the thing is, what people don't realize is when it's your child, you have to be stronger for them. You can't let them see you breaking down. You can't let them see you,
Exactly.
the anger. Because, I couldn't be angry. Even going to court, I had to, hold my anger, and I had to, what I'm saying? I just couldn't, as many times I wanted to just jump up and just strangle him, but I couldn't for her because I didn't want her to break down.
Right.
And a lot of that ended up happening, and what ended up happening with me is I held in a lot of my anger and my frustrations and stuff, and I didn't get the help I needed, until pretty much after the suicide. As for her, I did everything I could as a parent. I did get her the help. And like I said, she had such a good doctor, but, when you have a grown man, just looking at you and winking and stuff, not taking it seriously, was the mayor of my town had called and said, well, I hope you're not going to let her death go in vain. And I said, I'm not. He said, you guys, figure out what you're going to do and we'll support you. And then, Mary Mitchell was one of the first ladies who did an article on her. She actually had came to the funeral and everything. And, Journey, when I tell you, I have such a good support system. Literally, her school holds at least over 1,000 kids, and it's a very good school. The whole school was there. Their families were there. My neighbors were there. The police department came. I mean, it was so many people. You would have thought it was a celebrity funeral or something. So many people came out to show support, and Mary Mitchell was one of the ones who came out. She was the reporter, and she had asked me, well, what are they doing about her death? And I said, well, they had told me that they gave him a life parole, which means if he do anything else, he'll get life in jail. No matter, the thing that gets me is that even though he gets life in prison, if he do anything, I don't want him to get out. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I want him to try for his death.
Exactly.
So that's one of the things I'm working on with some of the politicians that I work with. Is not having him, get out to give her another child.
It's been encouraging, and the thing about the power that you have, that you may or may not be aware of, but you're there. We haven't even put out this episode yet, and we're going to, of course, dedicate it to Marcie. But women have been reaching out to me because, like you were talking about earlier, we come from a culture where everything is kept in, to save face of the family,
right?
Or we have to bear the burden on ourselves. And so, just by people knowing you are there and the work that you're doing, these are women who would not normally come out. Matter of fact, they are not too public about it, but they're waiting. Because you have a silent following that may not have the courage or the ability right now to give voice to it, but because you're doing it, they find strength in that. And so for our community, I thank you so much. What are the things that you needed? I know you said that you didn't really get the kind of help you needed until after Marcie passed.
It was, I was just having days where I was just losing it. I got to a point where I just wanted to, figure out ways to get into the prison to hurt this guy who hurt her. And I had all this anger was building up and all this hatred towards him was actually building up. And I was just, like I said, I was actually losing my mind. I couldn't focus on anything other than, hurting him. And, my son had said, well, Mom, you need to step back. You still have us. You do something, or have something done to him, then you go to jail and he wins. And,
Right.
when I thought about it, like, I can't let him win. This is not about me. It's about her and her legacy. And I know she wouldn't want to see me locked up or something.
Exactly.
So, I decided I reached out for help. And I got help, and Dr. Pittman came out to the house once a week, and she was phenomenal too, and she helped me through my counseling and, talk. She listen to me vent, cry, whatever I had to do, she had me do it, and, she actually helped me out a lot, and it really did work for me.
Right. I think that's an important point, though, especially for us as women. We're so used to taking care of everybody else. The fact that you were getting help, and because you got help, you were able to maintain the strength to help others. So I think we have to really give it to ourselves to go ahead and get the help that we need so that we can be supportive of the people around us. I think, you can't give from an empty glass. If you're broken, you can't really be sturdy for someone else. Ever since our first connection, she's not left my mind. I've been wanting so much to do something and to put this together in a way that's not just going to fly by night. We talked about how, Marcie was an honor school, honor roll student, and she had, her plans to go to law school and all of this, right?
Right.
A lot of times, and it's kind of sickening that it is factual, but people say, okay, well, where was she? Or what was she doing? And the point is, she wasn't doing anything she was not supposed to do. She was living her life on her way home, right?
Right.
So the topic that we have to have the courage to discuss, and that I want to touch on, is what is our community, from your point of view, doing to keep our young girls safe? Like, what can we do? When people come and ask the questions, and they're always looking for a reason, but if there is no reason, we have to look back at ourselves and say, okay, these are our young men that did this, right? This harm came from within our own community. And so what are some things that you think we need to pay attention to as a community to make it safer for our young people?
Well, the community I lived in, fortunately, I had a husband that worked and was able to get us in a better community. And the thing was, he was not supposed to be in our community, but it goes to show you that anything can happen anywhere. I don't care what zip code you come from. You can come from the richest of the rich to the poorest of the poor. Bad things happen everywhere.
Right.
Now, as far as my community, what I can say is this, the police department couldn't have been any nicer. They couldn't have been any more professional. They reached out to the schools. Everybody got to a point where she didn't want to go back and forth to school, so they actually paid to have her homeschooled, to keep her on the honor roll.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they did. So they had teachers come and homeschool her. The police department, they would take shifts coming past my house, sitting in front of my house. They would call me, are you guys hungry? Do you need me to go get you something to eat? So I was blessed to be able to have that.
That's important. That's a perspective of the police department that we normally don't get.
Right.
Yeah, so that's important to get out there. Yeah.
Families have to come together. They have to look at their mayor, their aldermen, congressmen and women or whoever, and, do whatever it takes for them to do in that neighborhood. Because, everybody's neighborhood is different and it's ran differently.
Because it is. It's us taking part, is being proactive,
Yes.
Marcie was holding on. She was actually recovering until the court proceedings.
Yes.
I can't imagine just having to relive that whole thing, and then as a child, she's to have to look at that man day in and day out. In that process, that you think should be implemented to protect the victims from being re-victimized just by the court proceedings in themselves?
one of the biggest changes, I think, is the victim should not have to show up because, I mean, it doesn't matter whether they're kids or adults. That's why so many women and or men don't report it because they don't want to go to court and have to go through that. They're afraid. So that's why so many people don't report it. But maybe they can use, I know some courthouses do have cameras, and, you know, I've seen on TV where they do sometimes cameras or whatever else.
Right.
They maybe should try to figure out some kind of way to do the video camera so they're not actually in the courthouse, you know, the courtroom or whatever, interacting with the victim, because, you know, that gives the perpetrator still has power, and they may not realize that, but when you got somebody laughing at you and you know, that's still giving them power. You know, and you know, the judge might not realize that because it's not her, or, you know, the state's attorney, the public defender, they might not look at it as that, but they're still giving the perpetrator that power because they have the option to look at you. They have the option to wave and wink, and, you know, it's not even just with sexual assault victims. You know, there's some murder trials that go on, and you're sitting in there looking at the person who murdered their loved one, and they're not showing any remorse. And they shouldn't have to face this person. There should be some kind of cameras or some way to do it where the perpetrator is not in the same room looking at them.
That's outstanding.
You know how...
Absolutely, yeah, like they could be in a remote room elsewhere.
Right. Like, I know the guy Dylan Wolf who shut the church up. When they would show him on the news, he was in a room by himself with the two guards around him. But they had him on a camera. He wasn't in a room with the actual victims' families. Something like that might even be better. You know what I'm saying? Because they can't, you know, they're not that close. They can't turn around and just look at you and everything.
Absolutely.
Anything would be better than this.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? That's something that can totally get implemented in. You know, we're talking about you know, election seasons and our lack of power, but we actually do have power if we start within our own areas and with our own personal representatives. So that's I love that idea. That's fantastic. You know, the other thing that gets to my heart is Marcie left us in 2015, was it?
Yes, July 2015.
2015. And I know at that time, you know, there was a whole bunch of support, and you're still garnering a whole bunch of support. But the support that you're getting really is a manifestation of all the work that you've been putting in. Because you could have let it go. You know, you could have just kept it. And but your power and your energy is making sure that she stays at the forefront and that the issue remains at the forefront. You know, a lot of times though, young people or family members might not have someone like you in their lives, right? And so it might be a headline in the newspapers or the television screen for maybe this week. And then after that, it's on to the next one, right? And people forget forget the trips that you still, you know, they want to, it might be easy to say, okay, well, Miss Elizabeth Gerald, she's a strong woman. She can do that, right? But you're still going to her gravesite. You're still having to do all the things that you're having to do. So kind of take us through what you're doing to cope and what you're doing to make sure that Marcie is not a headline that just disappears.
You know, helping me. And, you know, one of the things I must say is that prayer and faith. If I didn't have faith, I don't know who I would be. I'd probably be lost my mind by now, honestly. And, you know, when I said, when I first started this, by me being a Black woman talking about mental illness and suicide and rape and stuff, I didn't think nobody would care because, you know, all you hear about is police shootings and gun violence and this and that in this community. But I wanted people to know that there are other things that goes on. We have homelessness, we have rapes, we have domestic violence, we do have Black on Black shootings. So, you know, there's so many things that go on that we have to kind of start looking at everything in a whole, not just one particular thing that's going to make the headlines for today. And when I decided to talk about my daughter, I didn't think nobody would care. And literally, I didn't think, because I talk about the stigmas of our community, and to be able to say that, you know, the way him and Gabrielle, they put my daughter's name and story on the Wade Foundation, and Judge Mathis and his wife and taking, I mean, and Willie Ma and Angela Lee. I mean, they have such big name celebrities and several, there are several more that actually say they want to be a part of my movement and what can they do to help. You know, that's what really keep me going, because it's like, wow, you know, people actually care, you know, and you have so many people, so many politicians, and you know, Michelle Obama gave me a plaque thing because the own people that work with Oprah told her about my daughter, and you know, when you hear stuff like that, it's like, wow.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so you can't, man, it's just such a good feeling to know that my daughter is loved and you know, and people respect it, and you know, I haven't. So far, I haven't received any negative backlash from blacks or whites or males or women. Everybody has been positive. But I will not go more because, you know, sometimes it does. But even with the internet, so far I haven't received any negativity, and that helps me out a lot.
Yeah, that's
you know, when you have so many families reaching out to you, telling you their stories and saying thank you because you helped me cope through what I'm going through, that really helps me a lot to know that I am helping other people.
Right. You know, you're mentioning like the support you're getting and people wanting to be able to help with the movement. What are some things that people can do, including us here at NSBR, to help further the progress that you're having with your movement?
Help me push my name out as much as you can, because the more of a platform I get, the bigger and the better it'll be. You know, hopefully one day MJG will be nationwide. But, you know, pushing my name out there, you know, just letting people know about me, what I do, my daughter, and you know, that's the biggest thing. It's just helping me build is the biggest thing. You know, when I'll be doing a couple of events coming up, and I'll keep you posted on that.
Absolutely, because we can certainly help get the word out. We can certainly help get the word out. You know, I found out about the talk you just gave at the last minute, pretty much. I think I reached out to you the day of, you know, and so, but when I posted that, it was just that little post in itself was like, wow, you know, she's out here, so definitely we can definitely help with that. You know, another thing that I want to touch on before we go, because this is phenomenal, the Black Girl Resistance. This is something that can come to life, I believe. And if you can tell us more about what that is and the things that we could do as well to help bring that into fruition.
What that is it's basically another name for Black Girl Magic. And what I do is I talk to young Black girls and let them know that they matter, that you know, they are loved, that they are beautiful. They have so many of them that have low self-esteem, and so many that have, so many of them that have, you know, been through different traumas, and you know, they're feeling low, they're feeling, you know, hey, they're feeling like suicidal and going through things, but they don't know how to open up, they don't know who to turn to, because they may not have, you know, a mother, or they may not have, you know, somebody at home that they can talk to. They may not have that support. So I'm trying to let them know, hey, you know, I can be your support, or let me know what it is I can do. And actually an artist has started, it's the person, the first picture I sent you is one of the pictures with Marcie with a mask on. It's from an artist. And it's a painting, and Black Lives Matter movement actually had a name. But they donated it to the Black Museum in Washington, D.C., so I don't have it. But that's where it is. And then they drew the one with her flying around, and they were saying that they asked me would it be okay for them to submit it to like the BET and stuff to try to come up with a superhero. So for the little young Black girls. And that's what we're trying to do. Yeah.
Wow, that's perfect.
So,
that's just amazing.
Yeah.
So you go into juvenile centers or
yes, I do. I talked to I met a young boy a few months ago. He's in there for armed robbery. and he may be charged as an adult. I asked him, what was going on at home, and he told me that his mother had said that he's the man of the house. He better, I guess he was being evicted or something. I'm not sure. But he told me his mother told him he was the man of the house, so he better figure out a way to get some money.
Oh, my God.
And we're talking about a 14-year-old little boy. So he went out there with a fake gun and tried to rob somebody. And the thing is, the person who he tried to rob was an open carry, and they had a real gun.
Oh, my God.
And when the guy went for his gun, he dropped his and said, please don't shoot and kill me. This is a fake gun. So the guy just helped me and called the police. But he's in jail because his mom told him he's the man in the house. The 14-year-old boy is not the man in the house.
Oh, my God.
I don't know, what's going on, what's with them, where his father is or what's going on. But for anybody to tell a 14-year-old that they're the man of the house is just absolutely ridiculous from the get-go.
Right.
She could have got her son killed telling him to go out there and get some money by,
Exactly.
And
in a way, if he's tried as an adult and he's gone off to prison, in a way, she did kill part of him to society. The message of Black Girl Resistance, I think, can be so far-reaching to adults as well.
And that's what my goal is, to be able to help as many people. And, you have some cartoons, the same way they have the cartoons that's cussing you out and saying bad things. We need to see more positive cartoons that can teach you something and help.
Exactly. So when we put this out, and I wanted to thank you for taking your time to talk with us, because it's like I said, ever since our first contact, Marcie, I have her. Actually, I might snap a picture for you. I have her on my board in front of me. So just to remind me that there is a purpose here. Yeah, I'll go ahead and take that one for you. What I wanted to do is just to make sure that when we do put out this episode, that MJG and Black Girl Resistance and Miss Elizabeth Gerald, that you are accessible to, because all it takes are the right people to hear you, to see what's going on, and it can click just like that. So what is the best way to get a hold of you or to get in touch with you?
Well, you have my personal phone number, but my email is mjgmovement@gmail.com. On Facebook, I am Elizabeth Gerald, which is Gerald, and then there's a TF for Team Family at the end of it. That's who I am on Facebook. And then I also have a Facebook page, MJG Movement Facebook page too.
Fantastic. We're going to make sure that we push that. We really push that out there and get that up on our website as well.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for taking your time with us, Miss Elizabeth. I'll go ahead and shoot that picture of Marcie for you right quick. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
The nurse came back a few minutes later and said, the doctor wants you to start calling your family members. And I said, why? What's wrong? Is Marcie okay? Is she in a coma? Does she need surgery? What's going on? The nurse said, I don't know. He just told me tell you to call your family members. And I didn't have a phone because this is like 6 a.m. in the morning. So she said, don't worry, just give me some numbers and I'll call them. So she did. She came back and said, your family members are on the way. And I said, okay. I said, again, what's wrong with my daughter? And She says, well, let me go ask the doctor and see what he's saying. The doctor, the nurse, and the third person came in. They took me in a small room and they said, Ms. Gerald, sit down. And at that time, the third person informed me that he was a chaplain. And none of this is dawning on me that they're having me call my family. They're taking me in a private room, and there's a chaplain. I still said, well, what's wrong with my daughter? Does she need surgery? Please tell me what's going on. And he asked me to have a seat. He said, have a seat, Ms. Gerald. And he said, this is the worst part of my job. He said, actually, this is one of my part of my job I hate. And I said, okay, what's going on? He told me she had expired. The nurse came back a few minutes later and said, the doctor wants you to start calling your family members. And I said, why? What's wrong? Is Marcie okay? Is she in a coma? Does she need surgery? What's going on? The nurse said, I don't know. He just told me to tell you to call your family members. And I didn't have a phone because this is like 6 a.m. in the morning. So she said, don't worry, just give me some numbers and I'll call them. So she did. She came back and said, your family members are on the way. And I said, okay. I said, again, what's wrong with my daughter? And she says, well, let me go ask the doctor and see what he's saying. The doctor, the nurse, and the third person came in. They took me in a small room and they said, Ms. Gerald, sit down. And at that time, the third person informed me that he was a chaplain. And none of this is dawning on me that they're having me call my family. They're taking me in a private room, and there's a chaplain. I still said, well, what's wrong with my daughter? Does she need surgery? Please tell me what's going on. And he asked me to have a seat. He said, have a seat, Ms. Gerald. And he said, this is the worst part of my job. He said, actually, this is one of my part of my job I hate. And I said, okay, what's going on? He told me she had expired.
I'm here for a couple different reasons. First, I want to tell about my daughter. I was here a few months ago, but my daughter, Marcie Gerald, was beautiful. I was going to show a picture, but a beautiful 15-year-old girl who was actually sexually assaulted and beaten by an animal. And she ended up taking her life July 20th of last year because of the assault.
How old was she?
15.
15 years old.
15 years old. She was an honor roll student. She was in a Rainbow Girls, which is a Masonic group. She took dance classes. She did some modeling. She had plans on going to Harvard Law. She was just a regular outgoing young lady. She wasn't fast. You never seen her with like long weaves, tight clothes, none of that. Any pictures you see of her on Facebook, in any of the magazines she's in, she's just natural, beautiful young lady. She didn't deserve to be attacked like that. The person who did it had just got out of IDOC, which is
what is IDOC?
The Illinois Department of Corrections. He had recently been released, and when you get out of jail, you're supposed, I think, sign up in a halfway house or
okay, hold on right there. Okay, you say your daughter was 15?
Yes, ma'am.
She was sexually assaulted and beaten.
Yes, ma'am.
By a young man.
Yes, ma'am.
Who had gotten out of prison.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now you said that he was supposed to be assigned to a halfway house.
He was supposed to actually go. He was assigned to it, but he didn't go. He was supposed to go to somewhere in Chicago. I don't know where they are, but he was supposed to went to a halfway house in Chicago. When you get out, I guess they give you a bus ticket or a train ticket or something. If nobody picks you up to get to wherever your destination is.
Okay. So they provide, once you're released from prison or lockup, whatever, they provide you transportation to get to your location.
They give him the bus money or a ticket or something. And he's supposed to signed in to wherever he was supposed to go in Chicago, but he had been in various foster homes in Flossmoor, Homewood, Glenwood, Harvey, Chicago.
How old was he?
I think he was almost 30, like 27, 28, up in there.
Okay. what I'm trying to find out, was he a ward of the state before he went to prison?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because he came out in the. I don't. You know, I know he grew up in the system. I don't know.
He grew up in the system. I guess part of being in foster homes and stuff.
Yes.
And from growing up in the system, he became a part of the prison system.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
The perpetrator was caught right away. He never ever denied what he did. He told the truth in everything he did, but we're in a society where young black males are thinking that when they do a crime, they go to jail, they're going to be on TV, this, that, and the other. So I think when he got arrested, he did admit to everything he did, but it was like a joke to him. He would turn around and smile at her and wink at her and, you know, talk about how pretty she was and beautiful she was, and it was like she was being victimized all over again.
Well,
and
when did he have a chance to do that?
At court. We went to court.
Your daughter actually went to court?
Yeah, because we did. We went to court. Yeah. At Markham.
Okay, but why would the court system allow him to be in there? I mean, and
because he
torment her.
He you know what, the judicial system, I don't really understand. I don't even know why you let somebody out without having some kind of bus to take them where they have to go. How do you just let people out of jail and not, you know, monitor where they are? You know, I do hear that the parole board, the parole officers are overworked, and they're overworked, and they have, I guess, maybe too many people, or I don't know. I just don't know all that. It's a lot of things that got to be changed.
Okay, but what I'm saying to you is that they went to court.
Yeah, we did. I went to court too.
Okay.
I was there. Yeah.
So they allowed your daughter, and
when you go to Markham, you go to court. We sat there and he's in the front. It's not like juvenile court when you're in one room and when you go to Markham, everybody's in one big room. You go in the courtroom, he's in there. He got his public defender on his side. The state is on that side. Then,
go ahead.
Yeah, him and the public defender is right here. The state is on that side with their doing their thing. Then you got the county guards or the police officers that's in Markham. They're around there, so he can't run or nothing. But and we sit behind, like in the bleachers behind him, so he's able to turn around. He's able to look, and
I just can't understand why in a court, if they know that he is tormenting her, and this girl she's 15.
Yeah.
Why would they allow him to sit in there?
I don't know.
Why would they put her in there under that kind of pressure?
He had to, in order for him to take his plea, I guess he had to tell everything what he did.
But to torment her.
Right.
That's the part I don't understand.
He wasn't supposed to. He's supposed to tell what he did, but I don't know. I mean, it ain't only him though. He's not the only one. I mean, when you go to these courts, these young kids are, and not even young people, but when you go to these courts and stuff, they don't have the compassion. When a person, you know, I done lost 3 nephews to homicide, and I lost my stepson, which is her brother, to homicide. When they get arrested, they don't. You sit there or whatever else. When they stand before the judge, they're not breaking down crying. You got some of them that might have some kind of emotion, but a lot of them don't. A lot of them are just inhumane nowadays. I don't know what's going on with this society, but they don't. And the judge can tell them to stop and be quiet or whatever else. And if they get too out of control, they'll send them to the back. But all of them like that, especially ones that's pulling the triggers now. Oh, they'll give it for that judge, and it's like a big judge.
By him tormenting her during the times that she was in court, it led her to commit suicide.
Right, she was victimized. It was just too much, though.
Okay, what form of suicide did she use?
She took pills.
She took pills.
Yeah, I don't like to talk about all that because they say some people, it gives them triggers or something.
Oh, I'm not trying to give you a trigger, but
no, not me. But from what I was saying, they were saying that some people that if they're listening on the radio or something, it might.
Well, my thing is, so you're here to tell a story. Did at one point in her life, after being tormented, because I could see from the picture that she was really a little girl. She was a normal 15-year-old girl, no makeup, just plain and cute. Okay, I looked at the pictures. I went through all of it and got good looks. And Where did she get the pills from?
After this, oh my goodness, after the rape, the rape was so bad that her ovaries and uterus was swollen and inflamed, to the point she couldn't walk, and the hospital gave her Trimadols for the pain and the swelling, and she took the whole bottle of them.
Oh wow!
She couldn't walk.
Oh wow! Oh wow! Oh, that's terrible. Come to you.
Oh yeah.
And say, Mom, Elizabeth.
When she was assaulted.
When she got, but I'm talking about after the assault. Okay. That I'm having a problem dealing with this.
Yeah, she did. We got counseling. Okay. We went to the Laney Foundation and Matson. We seen Dr. Summer Matheson was her doctor. We went there twice a week. But it was just too much. You know what I'm saying? Okay. The boy had actually threatened her too that he was going to have some GDs come and beat us up. This wasn't that court. This was, I guess, after the assault. So she was afraid that we're going to have some GDs come out to the suburbs, and the police did. They would come around and make trips and stuff. And they told her that we got you. We're not going to let nothing else happen to you. But it was too much. My daughter would sit in the tub sometimes for hours and just scrub herself raw. She was afraid of male. She didn't like, a guy could just look at her and say hi or you're pretty or something. She would just automatically just tense up and, and it just wasn't the same.
Oh, that's so sad.
It wasn't the same. I mean, being brutally assaulted like that, and, you've never been assaulted. My kids might have been sheltered, you know what I'm saying? And they're not streetwise or nothing. So, when she went through that, she was totally violated.
I could imagine.
Totally violated.
I could imagine that was enough to send anybody over the edge. And then you go to court and you're disrespected, and the prosecuting attorneys and the people in the court are not saying, well, we're not going to allow him to do this.
Right.
And she's got to sit through that. I mean, that could be devastating to an adult.
Yeah. That's why a lot of women don't report it, though. I've had a lot of women say they won't report it because they know, what I'm saying, that they have to face the assailant. And if the person is trying to fight it with an adult, she may have to get on stand and testify while he's sitting there looking at her. So it's just, it's a lot.
I do want to read this beautiful letter from the White House dated May 12, 2016. It says, Miss Elizabeth Gerald, Baltimore, Illinois. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Dear Elizabeth, I was so saddened to learn of the loss of your daughter, Marcie. I extend my deepest condolence, and you mourn her passing. May you find solace in your cherished memories of your time together, and comfort and the presence of family and friends. Please know you will remain in my thoughts and prayers. Sincerely, Michelle. Even though it's a sad day in your life,
yes, ma'am,
sometimes you have to turn your sadness and make Sarah smile.
Yes.
So today, listen, we have the Marcie Gerald story. It's how he took her soul. The story of how a sexual assault at 14 led Marcie Gerald to suicide. But even though she gave her life, she took her life.
Yes.
The story still lives on.
Yes.
Because there is a foundation.
Yes.
Now, if someone wants to get involved with your foundation, are you on Facebook? Are you on Twitter? Are you on Instagram?
I'm on all
Why don't you give them that information and tell them how to find you?
My name is Elizabeth Gerald, which is Gerald, and then it's a TF for Teen Family, and it's a picture of my daughter as my Facebook profile. Once again, that's Elizabeth Gerald. And then if you actually Google Marcie, which is Marcie, Jonea, which is Jonea, Gerald, Gerald movement, the movement page will come up. It's Marcie Jonea Gerald movement. And that's the movement page. And then I'm also on Twitter, Elizabeth Gerald, and it's a picture of Marcie. It's MJG movement on Twitter, and then it's also Elizabeth Gerald on Instagram.
Okay, too. That's at MJG movement.
Yeah.
On Twitter.
On Twitter.
Okay, at MJG movement
at Twitter, and then It's Elizabeth Gerald on Instagram.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
Take me to the king. I don't have much to bring. My heart is torn in pieces. It's my offering. Take me to the king.
Truth is, I'm tired. Options are few. I'm trying to pray, but where are you? I'm all churched out, hurt and abused. I can't fake what's left to do.
Come on.
Truth is, I'm weak. No strength to fight, no tears to cry. Even if I tried, but still my soul refuses to die. One touch will change my life. Take me to the king. I don't have much to bring. My heart's torn in pieces. It's my offering. Lay me at the throne. Leave me there alone to gaze upon your glory and sing to you. Please take me to the king. Truth is, it's time to stop playing these games. We need a word for the people's pain. So Lord, speak right
I don't have much to bring. My heart's torn to pieces. It's my offering.